Hi, everyone. We're back with another interview. You thought you saw the last of me, but we have one more special guest, and this is someone that people have been wanting to come on the show. So thank you for being here, Jenna. She plays Teen
Ah,
Melissa on season 3 of Yellowjackets. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm excited to be here and talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. First off, congratulations on this season. Huge, huge for your career, for your character. Um, I just wanted to know, so you kind of went into this, you auditioned for Callie's friend at one point, and then you got
Mhm.
cast. You thought you were going to be Pick Girl, and now you're Shauna's wilderness girlfriend, and Hilary Swank plays your adult counterpart. And there was
Yeah,
an interview from 2 years ago where you threw out the name Kate Winslet, and you thought that was like an outlandish possibility, and now you have Hilary Swank. So,
I know. Um, it's bananas. I don't even know how else to describe it. I think my whole Jackets journey has just been like surprise after surprise. I mean, like getting on the show was like surprise. So, yeah.
how's it been, I guess, as an actor, kind of being able to, I don't know if this has fulfilled any career aspirations for you already.
Oh, totally, totally. I mean, as an actor, I mean, you want a stage and you want that experience on set because that's so important as well. And getting on the show in season two was so exciting. And when I got hired on season two, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I had auditioned with a scene. I knew the character would recur. I honestly did think I was going to be Pick Girl just based on my hair at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and then they were like, "Nope, you're blonde," and I was like, "Oh, darn! I kind of wanted to be Pick Girl." Um, and then. Um, yeah, and then season three rolled around. I kind of knew there would be more from Melissa at season three. I was kind of tipped off. I had no idea what it was going to be. Um, and so the scenes that were written for me is just like anything you can ask for as an actor. It's challenging. It's you're building this character based off nothing. I've never been challenged like that in my acting life. Because usually I mean, as an actor, you just want all the answers. You're like, I want to piece this all together and when you're doing this, it's like a character like Melissa, where there's virtually nothing and you're getting these really high stakes scenes. It's like I would be sitting there like humming and hawing, being like, and then you just stick with one thing and you go for it or you try something else. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but very fun.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into those crucial moments from
Mhm.
this season. But now that the whole season is out, I don't know if you've noticed, but you've gained around 30,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh,
And when I was talking with Nia 2 weeks ago, she was talking about how, she doesn't really get like Aquila hate. Everyone loves Aquila, but then you would chime in the group chat and be like, oh, people are hating Melissa this week. So what has it been like seeing the audience reception to Melissa?
it's honestly been a lot of fun. I'm not super present on social media. I mean, it's impossible not to like kind of lurk here and there when episodes are airing. It's like, I mean, to go back like 5, 10 years, or I don't know, when was Game of Thrones airing? My brother and I used to watch Game of Thrones with our phones and like scroll Twitter because it's so,
Mhm.
people are just so funny.
Yeah.
And so all of like when people like when a good meme hits, it's like it always comes from Twitter. And
Mhm.
so that's like fun. But I mean, for me, those initial like 4 episodes, I kind of felt like I was watching pretty blind. I mean, I'm gonna throw five in there too. Because when you're building a character kind of from the ground up, and there was stuff in season two, but let's go with season three here. You're kind of building a character from nothing, and you get these scenes where, like I said, high stakes, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try it this way. And one of the benefits of having a couple episodes directed by showrunners is that they can kind of give you tidbits of information of let's try it like this. And not to say that other directors weren't doing that, but when you're in season three of a show and you have a guest director come in, there's a little bit of trust with the actor to know what's going on. But when you get someone like a showrunner coming in and a writer, it's interesting because they can kind of give you notes that might affect the bigger picture. And for me,
Mm.
I don't know what that is. And so there were like episode one through, I was like, I'm gonna do this a bunch of different times. I was getting notes from Bart, and I was like, I actually don't know what's gonna air. I don't know
Uh-huh.
what. So watching it with you guys was fun because I had no idea.
Mhm.
I think there were things that I thought would be something in certain episodes that were virtually non-existent anymore. Or like
Mm.
I was like, oh, they used that take. That's interesting because that means this now. Or oh, they cut this out, which now makes it look like this. So it's really interesting to see how, as an actor, you hand it back to production and they put out the final version
Yeah.
for the viewers. And it's like you kind of feel like you're the final piece of that story, but you're really not. And so it's just been fun to watch it back. And I think there was a lot of like reflection for me character-wise in hindsight. And yeah, I mean, she got a little bit of a crazy edit, which was fun, but I will say I played into it totally. So
Do you remember like a specific instance that you were saying where like you kind of got a note that might have impacted the story later on?
oh yeah, I mean, episode one, the scene where I'm making the berry wine, oh,
Hmm.
we did a little bit, and Bart's a really gentle director, and he's like, "What if we tried it in a way that is like this? What if we tried it a way like this?" And I was like, and I knew this scene, it's small, but it is the introduction to this arc, and I was like, "How are they gonna start it? Like, what's this gonna look like?" And it's and more or less it happened the way I
Hmm.
presumed it would be, but yeah, I felt like it almost was important for me as an actor to then watch it back to see what you guys were gonna get out
Hmm.
of it.
Yeah. And you mentioned like the memes and have you seen like the edits and the fan art and the Melissa hat diss track? Like
Yeah,
lots of
oh, I've seen it.
things.
I was silenced. I cannot reply to that. They got me good. Um, yeah, I've seen it all. I mean, you guys are so talented. I mean,
Yeah.
everything from like what you do to the fan arts and I mean, people like it's amazing and it's really cool to see that this show has such a reach and can build community and foster community online between people that wouldn't have either otherwise met.
Yeah, that's for
And that's
sure.
always, yeah, the nice thing about these spaces. So I hope it's nice and kind and
Yeah,
everyone's
it is.
lovely.
Um, One thing I do want to ask you, since we're talking about memes, if I say the words beetle fart to you, does that mean anything to you?
Huh. I've seen that. I don't know what it means.
Would you like an explanation?
Yes.
So it's stems from a tweet from someone named Ellie, and she um fans have kind of come up with this background from Melissa that she has a lot of siblings and like she kind of
Um,
gets made fun of a lot and like kind of like the youngest of like brothers and so kind of that teasing and then there's another tweet that says beetle fart come on do a flip and that has kind of been a instrumental part in Melissa's fanon, I guess, of what the fans have latched onto.
Wait, that's crazy. That's hilarious. Like beetle fart as in that's what someone would call
That's
her.
like the nickname that her siblings would call her in a teasing
Oh,
way.
that's good. Ah, I feel like I need to defend her as a little sister myself. I'm like, don't call her beetle fart.
But
No.
speaking of, there's so much love for you. I just want to point this
Oh,
out, like so much love online, and you have an army of lesbians that will follow you anywhere too. So
love.
just know that we appreciate your work on the season and with Melissa, and you are so loved. I just wanted to do
Oh,
that.
thank you. And you guys are so loved too. And I getting a character like this, and I've never really seen a Melissa on screen so much. And um, it's been just truly great. And um, if it made one person feel seen, that's literally the world to me. So to know that there's an army of you that are feeling seen and heard, it's like it's the best. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're going to talk about season three, and then I'm going to get into some relationships with Melissa. But first, I
Mhm.
wanted to know about the hat, the iconic hat. You said in an interview that it kind of plopped on your head last minute. Ashley Lyle says that you may have had something to do with the hat in general. Could you explain the origins of the iconic pink backwards hat?
I can. It's funny because Ashley and I talked about this recently because I read that interview and I was like, hold on, what went on here? Okay, so the hat. I got hired the day before I filmed season two, or 2 days. I mean, let's say less than 48 hours, but more than 20, 32 hours before. Um, and basically what involves when you get hired on a show is the next day. And it's still like this. You got to do makeup, hair test. I just got to kind of build the character. So they were actually filming the day that I went in for my like hair and makeup test. So I
Mhm.
think they just filmed like a couple sleeping scenes in the cabin. So there was just a random girl there filling in for me. Um, but I walked into my fitting and Amy, our costume designer for season two, had a rack out for me, and there's a few options, and there's a bucket of hats. And I don't know when it came up, but she was like, "How do you feel about hats?" And um, I was like, "Okay, I need you guys to know, like, I feel like we can all resonate when you get a new job." And someone's like, "Can you cover my shift? Do you want to stay late?" And you're like, "Hell yeah, would love to do." And like, you're not going to say no on your first day. It's like, I would cover your shift. It would be my honor, actually. And
Mhm.
a month later, you're like, "Fuck this place." Um, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, so she was like, "How do you feel about hats?" And I went, "I love hats. I'm a hat girl. I love hats." And so, but then I wasn't, and then the next day, I wasn't wearing it at all. And I even think there's like stills of me with my hair down
Hmm.
without the hat on. And basically, what happened is they had dyed my hair blonde, but it was coming from so dark because I just dyed my hair dark that it's really hard to get to blonde. If you're blonde,
Hmm.
well, fake blonde, and it, like, out of nowhere, someone rushes up to me and starts braiding my hair back, and then the hat gets stuck on my head, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, And it like virtually like changed the way I like perceived myself in the mirror. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Cool. I
Hmm.
find it like a bit tougher. Like, cool. Love this. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I feel like it was me, but it was also them.
Hmm.
But maybe the hat was just there.
Yeah.
And they're like, she loves hats.
Sometimes the hat chooses you and you
I
have
think
to accept it, but you've
I think
embraced it so well. Like you pulled off so great. Like
oh,
I
thank you.
was I was gonna do a reaction video and I was like, maybe I should put on a backwards hat because this is when Hilary Swank was coming on. And I was like, no, I look horrible in them. But like the way you put them on, great. But
It's really camp now, and I do love it. I had to grow
mhm,
to love it. Anytime you see me where I'm not wearing it, it probably comes from me. Just know that there was a conversation that morning or afternoon where I was like, I'm not gonna wear that hat, and this is why. I actually also tried to burn it, did not win that fight. So.
like in the show, like you had
In the
or
cabin, yeah, I was like, what if
oh,
I made a whole pitch?
uh-huh.
Um, Amy was like, yeah, that's great, that's really great, and then we're doing the fire scene, and it's like. Literally the easiest thing to grab would be to
Hmm.
stick a hat on your head when you're
Hmm.
like picking up like things. So I was like, I think I have to save the hat.
Yeah. Well, it lives on. And I think when the show is all said and done, I think you should be able to take it as a memento or
I
something.
have one.
Oh, you have.
I actually might have one right here. I
Were
have
there multiple options? Oh my God. A guest appearance with the hat.
but yeah, this was the first one they put on me. I only wear it
Hmm.
in I think one episode.
And now you have
Um
like the snapback kind of like things.
yeah.
Hmm. Oh my God,
Um
that's
I
crazy.
have like my costume thing
Okay.
on here. I didn't just have that on standby. Costume drawer. And yeah, that one they just didn't have enough copies of it.
Hmm.
And so they went with the snapback, which they apparently had about a million. And then I liked the baby pink a little bit more than I don't know what pink it was in season two, but then I was like, we'll
Hmm.
just dye it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then kind of segueing into this, the first time we see Hilary Swank is in the backwards hat. So I wanted to
That's
know,
crazy.
right? I wanted to know what it was like, talking to her. I read that you didn't speak to her until episode 9, which is crazy to
Mhm.
me because when I was watching episode 8, I was like, oh, that's Jenna's Melissa right there. And like to think that you guys didn't even speak about it, but there were still some like nuances that were present where you can tell that this was like a continuation was really cool. So what was that like?
I mean, yeah, she's Hilary Swank. I mean, she's great. She's also just a really kind person. And when I knew about adult Melissa really early on, but Hillary was brought on and season wise very much later. Like I had read episode 8 and I didn't even know who she was yet, like who adult Melissa
Hmm.
was going to be yet. And I don't think that I don't know where they were in that process either. And there were like moments where I was like, I don't even know if it's gonna happen anymore because I can't find someone. And so it like so for it to be Hilary Swank, I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And I actually don't think I processed it until like 2 months ago, actually.
Mhm.
Meeting her was fantastic and um just knowing that I get to share a character with another actor is really cool. I honestly, like, I just never expected that from this show for me, for Melissa. I was like a very willing participant to pass away in
Yeah.
the
Pull the
wilderness.
queen card, you know.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? If you're dying on Yellowjackets, it's gonna be iconic,
Yeah,
and
that's for sure.
there's nothing really more you can ask for. And so when that didn't happen, I was like, oh, okay. Sure. And then suddenly it's Hilary Swank, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So
Well, you
I
still have
like,
your like fake death scene that maybe they can make really cool.
yeah, yeah, it's a good idea. I think that's a really cool timeline. I hope we get to do.
Yep.
Fingers crossed. I really want a season four. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Does you kind of spoke about this, but does knowing that you have an adult counterpart change how you play Melissa at all?
Mm, a little bit. Like it kind no, I want to say no
Okay,
because I really do think these kids in the wilderness are really living in the moment. Like to be thinking about where you're going to be 20 years down the line is just not even like, I don't know, it's not really at the forefront of any of their minds.
for
And it
sure.
doesn't really affect the choices you make. Like, you know, if you're going to do something bad, you're going to be like, oh, well, will I get in trouble for this? And then you start going down, you're like, oh, or like they might call my mom to come pick me up, or I might get expelled, or blah, 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 blah. There's no process like that in the wilderness.
Hmm.
It's, I'm going to do this because I want this outcome.
Yeah.
Um, and so it, yeah, that in that regards, no, I mean, there's like a few things that were cool to pick up on that she was 25 years later doing. I mean, I also asked a lot of questions, and sometimes what was written in the script, I was like, oh, well, I asked this question and this it's not this in the script, so it doesn't.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I need to stop asking questions about what she's doing in the future because things can change.
Hmm.
So,
I gotcha.
yeah.
Alrighty. One more question before we get into Melissa and Shauna. Can you confirm that Melissa dropping the meat in episode one was because she was distracted looking at Mari? Is that what was happening?
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think both of them.
Oh,
It
really?
was scripted, yeah. It was those two are lounging in bathing suits or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, Jen and Mari. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
and Melissa's distracted and the meat hits her and she's
Hmm.
which is like a hilarious moment of the
Yeah.
meat. Yeah.
All right. Now getting to Melissa and Shauna. I'm going to start this section off with one of the replies you wrote on Instagram about what Melissa was going through. Quote, she's in the Delulu phase of a physically and mentally debilitating situationship, which I think puts it great. Um,
No.
First off, what do you think of the ship name being Shaunahat and Melissa's
I think
government
it's
name being
great.
Hat?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think as far as like ship name goes, I love it.
Hmm.
Shaunahat, whoever made that, congrats. It's amazing.
It has a nice ring to it, I
It
think.
does. It works.
Yeah. Some people don't
Um,
like it. I'm like, but this is a
oh,
defining quality. Hat.
get over it. It's Shauna. There's your soundbite.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you I guess noticed this or in the moment, but fans have pointed out that in season two, Melissa was actually placed next to Shauna a lot of the time. Like she was kind of sitting on the floor next to her, sleeping next to her. I don't know if you remember, was this intentional in any way, or is this kind of just happenstance that now you're in the
Sometimes
relationship?
we're placed. Sometimes it's like go wherever you feel like you are. Um, I will say the one thing that was funny for Melissa in season two was that because I wasn't there on the first day where they're filming these like sleeping sequences, I never had a sleeping spot. So every time I was like, oh, go to bed where you go to bed, I would just pick a new spot. So I think in some instances I ended up near Shauna for
Mhm.
that, or I was like, I'm gonna go by the fire because
I'm cold.
Jenna wants to be by the fire where it's cozy.
Mhm.
I think I know there was like one scene. I mean, here, The advice I gave to the new girls this season was, okay, if they're not writing you a line, just go stand behind the people who have lines because then you'll get on camera. So so
That's
if
so
I'm
real
behind
of you.
Shauna,
That's so real.
I just want it to be seen. Um, uh,
That's amazing. I love that.
I guess it paid off.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say though, but like Shauna, I mean, in season two, I went through like each character and like decided how I might feel about them. And Shauna was someone at the top of season two that was a very, I mean, she still is a very lonely character. I think she kind of always has been. And that was something that I always saw in Melissa as well, despite the fact that she had Jen. But Jen also had this really close friendship with Mari. Um, and I think Britt from season one. So Jen was a little bit more in the group, I
Hmm.
guess, because Milo was there in season one. So coming into the fold in season two, I was like, oh, she's probably a little lonely if she's just hanging out in the back room, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there, if I'm near her, maybe there was just like some gravitational pull of, you know, maybe this girl over here is feeling kind of like how I'm feeling.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, I think in that regard, it's kind of cool to see them get together after that.
Yeah. This is like a very loaded question.
Mm,
But I guess talking about the nuances of Melissa and Shauna, obviously not a great environment to be starting a relationship, and there's so
mm.
much feeding into it. There's power, grief, anger, manipulation, violence, all this stuff. But I guess the broader question here is, do you think Melissa ever loved Shauna?
Um, yeah, I answered this not too long ago. I think it's really nuanced because definitions of love and experiences can change, and there's a lot of reflection that goes on. I know certain things that I've experienced 10 years ago for myself. In hindsight, I changed those realities. I think, and I want to be really clear that from the get-go, this was an incredibly toxic situation. And it worked because Shauna was so broken and Melissa was so broken. And I think for Melissa, in the moment, she really does believe she loves her and she really, really likes her. And I think it's something that she might bounce between. Like, do I love her? Do I really like her? Does she like me? Oh, I don't know. And she has nothing to compare it to either. And so I think it's one of the beauties about being on a show like this is you're allowed to interpret things the way that makes sense to you because you're not going to get every answer on this show. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be hard answers like you got your pick girl. Of course that was always going to be answered, but all these like little nuances of the supernatural, the reality, the interpersonal relationships between all these people in the wilderness, there's a little bit that are up for um that might just stay very gray and nuanced. And um yeah, she just really, really likes her. And I think she does
Mhm.
think she loves her, but I think she's truly it has to because she's so broken by the end of it. And you don't get to a point where when they're fist fighting on the ground, that comes from a place of being so incredibly heartbroken.
Yeah.
Um, how much of that was construed in Melissa's own head? We'll have to see.
Hmm.
I don't want to give any definite answers because I think that's something I know for me I'd like to explore
Hmm.
in season four of how much of this was her own creation.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I wish I could give you a yes or no answer. But I think between like this and the last interview I gave, you guys can yeah
Yeah,
discuss it
no.
among yourselves. I mean, I think everyone's gonna look at this and feel differently about it, and that's 100% okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many complexities to it. So just wanted to
Yeah.
see what
And
you.
I think maybe even like I want to look at young fans and be like, it's okay to feel something for it to be really real and then down the line for you to be like, oh, maybe it wasn't what I thought it was.
Mhm.
And so I think maybe different people are going to see this differently and that's yeah, it's totally okay. And if that's the way it is, then I think we've all done our jobs.
For sure. I wanted to know, so between this relationship, we see like there's one kiss, two handholds, and like that over the shoulder hug. But with other relationships in this show, we've seen like more, I guess, or like different things. So
Mm.
what is it about this relationship that might explain why they're not as like coupley, I guess?
It's a really good question. I mean, I've always seen the relationship be more about the power dynamic and the internal darkness more than anything, and it's
Hmm.
explored through this ex external relationship thing. Um, I think there's more to tell with these two out, and I'm a romance girly too. Like I would like, you're like when did they kiss? Like
Yeah, yeah.
or you're watching a TV show and you're like they should just kiss.
Hmm.
I get it. I think as a viewer, I get it.
Hmm.
As a creative on this show, I think, yeah, I always just saw Melissa is very much a foil for, um, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the writers, but I think uh, Melissa is definitely a foil for Shauna's darkness, um, and her rise to power, and as a supporting character in this narrative this season, that in my mind was my purpose of being there.
Hmm.
You have this. It's like a rise with Shauna, and it's also a fall.
Yeah, for
She
sure.
wasn't really. It's not really a fall from grace, but it's a rise to somewhere kind of terrible. And Melissa plays a hand in that. With Shauna, you can kind of empathize where she's coming from to a certain degree because you've had a lens into what's going on with her. Losing a friend and losing a child and like all these things. Like you're like, oh, I can see how someone might do something terrible. And you have other characters too. I mean, like Travis lost his brother and all these things. With Melissa, there's virtually nothing. And you're like, okay, well, this is interesting because opposed to Shauna, who you've seen almost everything happen with so far, you've seen nothing that's happened to Melissa. And you know, a plane crash and cannibalism is enough to traumatize anyone for a lifetime.
Hmm.
But it's kind of like you have these two storylines of people doing really bad things, and one you kind of can justify, and the other one you're like, well, why are you there and why are you doing this?
Hmm.
And so story-wise, I think that's always been kind of cool with those two to have the push and pull and to be kind of a mirror of each other, but with entirely different like building blocks of how they got there.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I was wondering, is there anything that was scripted with that relationship that we might have not seen, or was there anything that was cut?
Yeah, I mean, it's a TV show. Things are gonna get
Hmm.
cut. We have to fit into a certain time time block. Um, yeah, I mean, uh, I don't want to overspeak on things because I do know that things can get shifted for creative reasons for a
Yeah, for
larger
sure.
story that I am not privy to.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say something that's fun was when they're and I wish it was kept in because I don't know, it's funny.
Uh-huh.
Um in episode 3, right after they have the conversation, and Mari comes back.
Hmm.
Um, and Shauna's like, I'm going to the caves. Who's with me? I don't know if you guys saw that. Sorry, something's happening on my computer. Um, Melissa, I was in the group and I was standing in the back and I shot my hand up and went, me, and like put through the group. And that was the first time everyone was like, hello? But she just got so fired up after that. Like
Hmm.
she's like, I could have got shut down 10 minutes ago and
Hmm.
I didn't. I don't
She
know
let me
what this.
sit on the
Yes, I
log.
will go with you.
Hmm.
Um, so
That's
um
funny.
that got cut out. I maybe probably time wise. But it was just cute and funny and I
Hmm.
wish it was there. And I think the scene where I give Shauna the sheath
Hmm.
originally that one was interesting. I felt like I was watching that one for the first time because the way it was scripted, I think was a lot. It was just long, it was a lot longer.
Hmm.
Um, but it kind of prolonged this like suspense of Melissa not speaking up for herself, or it kind of kept her in this really gray area of what is this girl doing? And I think that it's really cool when you see the edits come out and you're like, oh, interesting. Like they're holding this really close to the vest right now of what's going on with this character. So they just kind of prolonged some like reveals for things, or they made me seem one way or versus the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. I guess we'll move to the big public breakup in episode 9. Which
Mhm.
is an amazing scene, phenomenal job. Like it was, I was watching it and I was like, I need to like, I feel so bad, but I can't look away because it was just so intense. And like, we have Sophie's ferocity and then you're vulnerable. So can you talk about like what it was like filming a scene like that?
Yeah, it was, I think, I mean, that's the stuff you can dream of as an actor. When you get something that's so layered and like a lot of depth, I had to like I was like, thank you for giving me a stage with like and writing me stuff like that because for me that's so much fun and it's something I can put all my training into. And sometimes you get on set and you're doing like one or two lines and you're like, okay, well, I can do so much more.
Hmm.
So I was just so grateful to do a scene like that. Sophie and I had a lot of fun with it. We were really anticipating it. Hilary was like, "Oh, you've got a big scene this week," because I hadn't filmed that yet. Um, it's just fun. And it was cool. We had 3 handheld cameras on me for the gunshot, um, which doesn't always happen. We don't always get handheld. And to have 3. So it was cool to know that like everything was being picked up on, and I had freedom to move and turn back, and um, to have that control on a set was really fun of how the scene was gonna flow. And um, yeah, yeah, I had a lot of fun, and then I had to change my pants a bunch of times. But Samantha's mom was on set that day, so she
Oh my
was really
God.
happy with
What
me.
a
So it was like
legend.
I know, Ellen, the greatest.
Yeah.
It was nice to have a set mom help me with my pants.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about one specific line where Shauna says, "No one gave a shit about you until me." And there's kind of like a double meaning there of like,
Yeah.
um, I make you important, but also I'm the first person to care about you. And so I guess like, what are your thoughts on that line and like what that means for Melissa's character? Like, does that mean like she was kind of like a loner before the crash? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I also think it just has this really meta meaning of like how the character appears on the show. I mean, I think that's
Hmm.
always been like, oh, you have a personality. Oh, like it's like I mean, I think there's a lot of projection there. Um, I think um I think that parallel with like Shauna and Jackie and Melissa and Shauna, it's very interesting where it's like a role reversal, and with Shauna there's a lot of projection there. And on Melissa's side, there's a lot of like idealizing this situation and no one gave a shit about you until me. Um yeah, I think it's true in a sense in the even I mean especially from the viewer side of it. Um I don't think that's a fair thing to say to someone
Oh
like
no, not at
so in
all.
general like
Yeah.
is there so wrong with being quiet and kept to yourself? Like, I mean, um, nothing wrong with that. It's sad. It's sad. It's almost it's true in a way. Um, and um, I think it's like a almost like a call for help from Shauna a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, like I cared for you is
Hmm.
basically what she's saying, but she's phrased it in such a mean way.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that really hits Melissa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought up Jackie, and I was wondering, because we have like Tyne Van teasing Melissa and Shauna about, does she make her wear Jackie's clothes, all these things, and do you think Melissa knows that she's replacing this like Jackie-sized hole in Shauna?
Um, yes, and I don't think she could replace her.
Yeah.
I think it's like Um, yeah, I don't know if Melissa would have went for Shauna if Jackie was present in the picture, just because Jackie is such a lively presence and a very big presence in this story that we're telling, and Melissa is very much not. And so
Mhm.
it would be like complete polarization of orbiting around Shauna, and I mean, and maybe and that would be interesting in itself. I mean, so yeah, I think she's aware that. I also don't know if this would have worked
Mhm.
if Shauna wasn't so broken at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, yes and no, would be my answer. I think she's aware of it in some regard. I think she see there's an opening for sure, like that she just walks right into, because because of the tragic loss of Jackie. And so, um, but I don't think Melissa really that's a good question. Does Melissa compare herself to Jackie? To be honest, I've never overthought it.
Mhm.
Um, Thought about it a little bit, but I don't know. I think she feels it a little bit, not to the extent that it was. There's just, I mean, y- childhood friendships that evolve to what they evolve to. Like it's just like you can't replace that within a month, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I gotcha.
Or 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Getting to the finale, I was curious, how did Melissa end up with the bunny mask? Because it's kind of like, Shauna's hand-me-down from episode 6, I think. So like,
Yeah.
did they, I don't know, did they assign you the bunny mask? Like, how does that work?
I think it was a choice from the showrunners to have
Hmm.
Melissa in the bunny mask. I didn't know until I went for my fitting, and then I was like, oh my God. Because I was a fan of season one, so I was like,
Yeah. It's
ah.
iconic. It's scary,
It,
but like, it's great.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Um, to be the bunny. And I think originally, because they started working on these costumes at the beginning, and
Hmm.
the costume team didn't have the scripts for, like, they knew they had, I think that, I don't know, I don't want to speak for them, but like, I think they started making these masks a little bit earlier and trying to place the person to the mask
Hmm.
alongside people. And the hat mask that Shauna wears, I think they originally started making it like, oh, maybe Melissa might wear this.
Hmm.
And then Shauna ends up being Antler Queen. Spoiler, by the way. Everyone's seen it. And so they're like, oh, then Shauna can't be the bunny. So maybe I think it's always been like a constant conversation of who's going to be who, and
Hmm.
I so just creatively fit into wearing the bunny mask. Also, I think with the fight scene, they wanted the rip
Like
off
that,
to be
or,
really
yeah.
cool, and the bunny works really well for that.
Yeah, for sure. And glad that you bring it up because let's talk about that scene where Melissa has to kill Shauna, but she can't. And I know there was the plan that like Mario was originally supposed to kill her, but then she pulls the queen card, and now Melissa is tasked with this. And I think arguably she might be the one who has been wronged by Shauna the most, and she needs to do it, but also she has this emotional connection to her. So why do you think she can't go through with killing Shauna?
Oh, I think it's a lot to feel in one moment. I think Melissa's been on this quest for power and she can't really admit that to herself. And she feels like she has the power to kill a person. But then it's also, she's tasked herself with being the person to kill Shauna out of rage. And I think she's in such an emotional state. Like, I think if you're gonna plan to kill someone, should I be saying that?
FBI agent, if you're listening, we're not, it's not
I,
real.
I think if it's okay, if you're gonna decisively decide to do something as extreme as that, I think there needs to be a clear head. I don't think Melissa has a clear head.
Hmm.
I think she's in a really vulnerable state at this point, and there is a bit of, I think when you get to that point and there's like seconds from death, and you're like, oh, I can actually do this. I think all those emotions come up. Like she's only so mad because she felt so much. And and it is kind of going back to does she love her? And it's like I don't know, maybe I did, maybe I did. I
Hmm.
can't, this is too much. This is too much. I can't feel this because I feel these feelings internally and I have this like physical strength over you at the moment and I have the power to take someone's life and I but maybe I actually really like that person and I can't deal with that. It's too much. So
This is so tragic. Every time we talk about Melissa's feelings, I'm like, oh, I just feel so bad for her. She just got stuck in the wrong place, I guess. But she kind of
No,
put
you
herself
put
there.
herself
But
there. Yeah.
yeah. But it's interesting that she can't kill Shauna, but she was a little hesitant at first, but when she cut Ben's Achilles, she was like kind of like reveling in that power, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the Achilles was really interesting to me because it was the one of the first times Melissa just outwardly admits like I can't do this. And it's basically her admitting like I'm in over like I'm doing this for you. I'm here because of you. I want you to be powerful and cool and the leader of the group. I'm not.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a small moment of vulnerability for her, and I think she's like shocked that she's able to do it, and that just goes to show the power Shauna has over her at the time.
Yeah.
So that to see the reversal, it's too much.
Hmm.
So I think it's interesting to know that there is a threshold with her in the wilderness at least. So she's kind of said it. So and I think um I wonder how much that weighs on adult Melissa.
Yeah. And then we have that last look of the season between Melissa and Shauna where she's putting the hair on her costume. And what do you think that look means? And how do you think that will, obviously we don't know anything about season four, but how do you think that would kind of predict the future of their relationship, I guess?
Um, I think she's very guilty,
Mm,
but very like complacent at that point. There's this guilt knowing that their plan fell through
mhm,
and Mari is dead. And now, and she had the power to kill Shauna. She didn't. And now she has to pin this her teammate's hair on Shauna. And even this is too far. And she also and like she almost kills Shauna after the horn blows and she assumes it's Mari. That in itself is like, okay, well, in my mind, Mari wasn't even gonna die. If like the plan was if someone pulls a card and it's them, we'll deal with it.
mhm,
Well, they won't die. We'll just, you know. Um, and so she has died, and so we assume it's her. So there's that guilt of that, the guilt of, oh, I could have killed you. Also, I built you up to be this,
mhm,
but I didn't want it to be this way. So I think it's like, oh, I wanted you this way, but not like this. I wanted this outcome, but the way we got here was incredibly too far for me.
mhm.
We didn't have to step on all these people on the way. So I think it's guilt. I think it's remorse. I think it's she's just compliant. She's complacent with it because she's like, I have to. Um, I'm lacking the word I'm trying to say. I'm like it's almost like she's like kneeling before her, like you won. It's
Mm.
also Vanessa Prasad messed up where we're supposed to put the hair. And I got up there and I was
Not,
like, where's the spot? The spot was taken. Um, and so I took someone else's spot and then I messed up the person behind me. That was the whole thing. It was dark. It was really hard to do that.
mhm,
So yeah, I think it's really it's nice to see that it reads for you guys because I think it was a very small but very loaded moment
for sure. Yeah.
of like, I have a hand in this. And but I wish I didn't, but I ultimately do. And I think it's almost one of the first like those last few episodes are like the first time I think Melissa starts to have any sort of like self-reflection
Mhm.
uh, on her hand in this.
Yeah. I'm wondering, do you think there's a specific moment where it kind of all clicks for Melissa, like whether, she got shot with the arrow, whenever, or even when Shauna ran away from her after that, or was it all
I
kind of
think
just
it's
like
the arrow
compounding?
for sure.
Hmm.
Because I love the imagery of like, Cupid has two arrows.
Hmm.
He has one, I think one's ash or I don't know. Two arrows, one makes you fall in love and one makes you fall out of love. Um,
Oh, that's so cool.
I th- this is just me being a nerd, but I love that parallel. And so it's also like the idea of like getting sense knocked into you was kind of cool. And I um So I knew Melissa would break up with Shauna at the end of the
Hmm.
season. That was the only thing I knew. So in my plan was with the first two scripts or first three scripts, I was told, listen, it's gonna end by the end of the season to a certain extent, and that it's gonna be Melissa's gonna think Shauna's gone too far.
Hmm.
So that's basically where I decided to play with. So I was like, okay, well, how interesting that I end it. So I'm gonna go this way before I go that way. And I'm gonna make her the craziest, like, down bad person ever. So then that matters.
Hmm.
So that was my plan. And so I was looking for keys in the script where I could like play into that kind of arc I made for myself. So with like 4 and 5, I was like, you know what? I said, trial, this is her stage. This is her stage to impress the fuck out of Shauna. So those like crazy eyes and stuff, that was the plan. Because I knew if I was gonna flip a switch, it needed to come from somewhere.
Hmm.
And so the clue, I was like, okay, when do I start to get some like there was some stuff originally written into 5 that were a bit vulnerable when I was handing her the sheath and stuff that
Hmm.
were cut out. But
Hmm.
it's kind of cool because it does extend that arc a little bit more. Where she doesn't play into the, hey, can we talk about this stuff too early?
Hmm.
Um, so 7, as soon as I got hit with the arrow and she ran away, um, and it was scripted. I mean, if someone said if she dies, you die, I would be like, oh.
No, I know. I was kind of like, oh,
I
that's
was like,
kind of that's
why am I mad?
exactly.
But evidently she's pissed. And I was like, okay, that's my starting point. And then 8 comes, and you have the conversation where she's mad. She's like, you ran off with this guy, and then it was really interesting because in that conversation in 8, the conversation flips out of nowhere, and Melissa's like, what are you gonna do when you get back? And I remember sitting there looking on the day, and I had practiced it, but sitting there with the writer, and I'm like, okay, I know you can't tell me anything, but what I'm thinking is this switch comes from, I still want this to work out at this point, but I can now see the holes in the relationship. I
Hmm.
can see the role that Shauna's playing. I can see the game she's kind of, I see myself being a bit of a pawn here. I can see how I'm playing my part. And it's like, oh, if Shauna wants to play house, I'll play house with her. So I think that flip, that like really stark contrast in that scene comes from Melissa going, okay, yeah, no, we can do this. Yeah, what do you want to do when you get back? So that's kind of that.
Hmm.
And then I think there was just moments in the script where it just served that arc for me. So I think 7 was the moment where I was like, okay, this will be my starting point of
Yeah.
getting to that breakup point.
Yeah. That's so interesting, like hearing your process and everything. That's so cool. And it definitely came across on screen. So amazing, amazing job. You just brought up, I guess we're talking about the arrow. We can talk about Jen a little bit, Jen and Melissa. Because they're, buddies, and then Melissa goes off with Shauna, and now she comes back to the hut, tail between her legs. Do you think Melissa, I guess, is guilty now? I mean, you talked about it a little bit before about the guilt, but
Yeah.
specifically with her betrayal with her relationship with Jen.
Yeah, I love the Jen Melissa dynamic. I think both Vanessa Prasad and Milo are like the most fantastic actors and just honestly some of the best people I've ever met. Both of them have become some of my closest friends. And so for that reason alone, like Jen's my favorite character on the show.
Hmm.
Can't fight. It's giving me two besties. So um sorry, what was your question? You just
Um,
and I was like, yes, Jen.
um, about kind of Melissa feeling guilty now that she's kind of circled back to Jen
Hmm.
after leaving her for a bit, and now she's like, man, maybe you were right. Like Shauna's wasn't so.
Yeah, it's definitely like a tale between her like things because I think there's moments that there is like a couple moments that didn't quite make it into the cut where Melissa's not very nice to Jen. Um, and there was one comment and I wish it stayed in, but it just never came in where Jen wants to sit with her and Melissa like it's a free country. And it's so mean. And I think it's kind of like the Jen Melissa arc that's very like and there's so many characters on the show. Like screen time is real estate. So
Hmm.
it's really cool to see you guys pick up on these little tiny moments because a lot of times that's what's going to tell a story for some of these more supporting characters on the show. And I mean, and their stories are just as important too. So it's cool with Jen and Melissa because they kind of also mirror that Shauna, Melissa. So it's like you have Shauna and Melissa being the er, parallel to Jackie and Shauna,
Mhm.
and then you have within that, and it's kind of this like perverse version of that. It's not the th same thing at all. And then you have Jen trying to like copycat Melissa in the group dynamic to then get back in with her and Shauna. So it's like it's such a cool experiment of like how teenagers might actually function because it's like so many of these scenes could translate to a school hallway if we
For sure.
wanted to write that in. So um I think I think it's someone Jen and Melissa are close enough that you can ask to be forgived. It's a really close bond, and I think it's someone that can call you on your shit, and it's someone that hopefully, if things haven't gone too far, and it looks like they haven't right now, that you can go back to them and be like, I did bad.
Yeah.
Please take it. Like, and I think there's a little bit of, I think Jen might feel a little bit bad for Melissa,
Hmm.
how this went down with the gun and everything, and the arrow. And it's like she's been through a lot. She didn't act the best. By the end, like Jen, gave her a lot of grace. And I think Melissa's aware of that at
Hmm.
the moment. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with those two. Um, I think there's stuff to happen there, so I'd be really curious to see what they're going to write.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jen Lissa is strong in my mind for
Yeah.
now. Yeah. One more relationship, Melissa and Van. Um, and I've loved reading Liv Houston's interviews talking about this relationship. And let's see, there's so much here. We have this. Liv spoke about how you guys kind of have like the baby butch allegiance, and then in the adult timeline we see that Melissa ends up killing Van. So I just wanted to hear, I guess, your side of that, and what brought you to say, my Melissa wouldn't do that to your Van, which I thought was so sweet and
Yeah, I mean,
heartbreaking.
it almost started with like a wardrobe thing where in season two, like Liv, who's a really good friend of mine, would make comments be like, "Oh, you're just a little baby butch," and I'm like, "Oh, love that." And um season three rolled around and I'm looking at I'm looking at my costume. I'm like, okay, from the waist down, we're wearing the exact same thing, like same pants. We both have Adidas Superstars on. Um, and then sometimes like Van would be wearing like cut off sleeves, and then Melissa's wearing cut off sleeves. And so I'm like, we just kind of made it up. I'm like, I think I'm just copying you because
Hmm.
I think that's a really solid relationship. And that's my only thing I have to go off visually or that's present in my life at the moment. So Liv and I would just like talk about it and like just kind of make, I think all these like headcanons. We did a lot of that. And I'm like, okay, I think Melissa looks at Time Van and is like, okay, well, how can I have that? Because we don't, I'm trying, but it's not like that.
Hmm. Why can
Um,
they have a successful wilderness relationship and I can't? Like,
exactly. So I think we just had a lot of fun with it. And then when it got to the point where we read the scene. Well, Liv actually told me first that Melissa was going to kill Van because I
hmm.
had joked to Liv. Liv and I have this like back and forth game where we like to flip each other the bird in the most like creative way possible. And it almost caused me to get on a flight and go to Australia in December because I was like, I'm gonna really get them good. I'm gonna go to Melbourne and they're never gonna see it coming. And then I like talked myself out of doing that. I was like, no, I can't go buy a flight to Melbourne. Um, um, so we have a lot of fun with it. And I had made a comment one day and I was like, I'm going to be the last person you see before you die one day. And it's just going to be me doing this. And I was joking. And Liv was like, well, actually, there is a reality where that's going to be true. And I was like, wait, what? And they told me. And I don't think I processed it at all, actually. And then later that night, the script got sent. And I actually have pictures that I sent to Liv, but I'll keep those private. But I viscerally sobbing
Oh
that
my God.
reading that scene. It was to lose a character like Van is just absolutely tragic. And to know that it was Melissa that did that. I had a really hard time processing
Yeah.
that just because of how I viewed that relationship between Melissa and Van. And I think we're both like, okay, we have these two young masked lesbians in the wilderness together. Like they have to interact.
Hmm.
Um, there's no way they're not interacting. And we Liv and I can make up as many things in our head as we want because we're like, this is fun. But I think when we read that in the script, there's like this kind of agency to be like, okay, well, let's just start doing things. And,
Hmm.
if they want to put it into the edit, they can. If they want to write stuff, they can. But to us, this means something. And so I think, you know, wilderness willing, we get a season 4. There's thing like I feel really up to the plate to do my best to do right by that.
Hmm.
And I can only do so much. But yeah, I think my Melissa would never do that because at this point she wouldn't. I don't think she would, which is really fascinating story-wise to know, well, why does 25 years later she did? And I asked that. Like I literally I asked a showrunner, I was like, well, why I wouldn't do that. Why am I doing that?
Hmm.
Um, as if they were going to change the script and have it be simple. I don't know. But and they're like things can change in 25 years. I think it's really cool what you live have built, but things ultimately, that's kind of the point of the story is that you're one thing when you're, 16 through 19, however old they all are. And 25 years, I have no cognition of what it's like. Like 25 years ago, I don't know. I'm a
Hmm.
baby. I don't know
Yeah.
what I was thinking. So it's like in my mind, that's a millennia. So
Hmm.
it's tragic. I mean, this whole story is a tragedy. So it's one of the tragedies that's where it ends. And um, I was kind of disappointed to know it was Melissa, but also feeling like I have a lot of stewardship around that,
Hmm.
and I'm very protective of that now.
Yeah.
That's how that story ends. So yeah,
I did love that improv moment where Van comes to cover Melissa. So I thought that
yeah.
was great. And I think I saw that you're a Radiohead fan. So what did you think about exit music playing during
Oh,
Van's
good.
death?
It's okay. Wait, that makes. I was so glad they put that in because when they put it in, and this is okay, I'm gonna sound like biggest tool, but like when
No, no.
they put in was it climbing up the walls over us
Eating
eating
Jackie.
Jackie?
Hmm.
Okay, we did that in like the winter of 97. Okay, computer wasn't even out yet. Um, it comes out in the um summer of 97. I don't know if was it released as a single. I haven't done that deep dive, but I was like because on my playlist I don't have anything that Melissa wouldn't have heard and I
Hmm.
don't have OK Computer on that playlist because she wouldn't have heard it. So yeah, I think it's Ben. It must be Ben the director. He must be a big Radiohead fan because that's two of his episodes
Uh-huh.
that um yeah, it always hits.
It
Radiohead hits.
does. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of your playlist, are there any other songs that you got, like notable ones on Melissa's playlist?
Um Yeah. What was it, that Olivia Rodrigo song, like Favorite Crime, like towards the
Hmm.
end of the season? I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's good. The edits are gonna come. Now that you say that, you know that, right?
I know. I have a lot of like, oh, also, I'm gonna pull up my,
Or do you have any requests? You can make requests for edits and the people will
oh,
do it.
can I?
Yeah.
Um, I love all the edits, by the way. I'm not currently on TikTok presently
Hmm.
because it's bizarre to be scrolling and to see so many edits of yourself. I'm like, oh, I was like, I love it. And sometimes when I'm feeling sad, I'll go through my tagged and I'm like, um,
It's like oh maybe it's a little vain, but like I kind of like it, Like I could totally see that.
yes,
But there's so many
exactly.
talented people out there that's
I
like
also have like a folder full of fan edits for other things.
yeah.
It's like something in the brain. It's a good one. It's really satisfying.
Hmm.
Um,
It's so good. And
uh,
the fact that these people do it for free too, I'm like,
yeah.
that's amazing.
I mean, one thing that like what do you guys, what is it? Fandoms?
Hmm.
Fandoms are really good at is like a display of talent. Whether it's fan edits, what you do, what these artists do, the fanfic writers, like everyone's talented. It gives everyone a platform to show
Hmm.
their talent. So
Yeah.
I hope. in this world where our economy is crazy, I hope you guys go and monetize all this and
Hmm.
create careers for yourself because I mean, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm looking up these
No,
music.
you're good.
Um, what is okay. Males play. One thing I was really excited about was that Melissa would survive to hear Avril Lavigne's debut album, Let Go, in 2004.
Hmm.
Um, because that's all I just feel like she'd be a big, maybe I'm Canadian. Maybe I'm too
No, I
Canadian.
I think that's a
But
valid
I'm
take.
like, there's a lot of things where things I liked, I'm like, I don't think Melissa would like that.
Hmm.
Like every time I like try to understand her, I have a conversation with her in my brain, and a lot of times we end up fighting or like disagreeing. It's like almost like we're like sisters and we're like, polar opposites, but there's this like thread that weaves us together.
Hmm.
Um,
That's so funny.
so um
You know those memes that are like, "Rip Melissa hat, you would have loved like Avril Lavigne," but like she
2004
lives.
Let Go debut album,
Yeah.
Complicated. I feel like Complicated is kind of a Jen song though. I've talked to Vanessa about this. Just by Radiohead is one. Maybe I made a note. Sorry, I'm
No, it's okay.
chaotic person ever when it comes to like organizing. It doesn't exist.
You're
Um,
good. Don't worry about it.
da, da, da,
I
da,
can I
da.
can cut around the searching.
Oh, okay. Teenage Dirtbag, but the Lizzie
Hmm.
McAlpine cover, Salt
Hmm.
Lake Sessions, great. Um, Here Comes the River by Patrick Watson. This is stuff that sh I listened to that she wouldn't have heard.
Hmm.
If is that what we want, or do we want stuff that she would have heard?
Either or.
Um, Also, Betty by Taylor Swift
Uh-huh.
is a
Yeah.
nice one. Also, Kate, cliche, but
Hmm.
when I was like thinking about the like dynamics between some people are gonna hate that I say this, but the You Belong With Me was like such a pick me song, and I'm like, this is so Melissa. Um, um, so that was one.
Hmm.
Uh,
People were making fake plastic trees edits. Because
oh,
Jackie Shauna, Melissa Shauna, she looks like the real thing. It
yeah.
hits.
That's a good, wish I knew that. Heather by Conan Gray was one.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm sorry. You could just edit me looking.
Yeah, yeah.
It just
I'll cut it
goes
out.
back and I'm like, okay, yeah, I wish I'm sorry. I don't have like the
No,
coolest music taste.
no,
Um,
that sounded great. I
I
wasn't
don't have
familiar
any
with
like
some of the things
deep
you said,
cuts.
but
I'm like 2008 hit You Belong With Me by Taylor
uh,
Swift.
you're
What
good.
was I what was
You're
I doing? I also listen to a lot of classical music. Sometimes it's very calming for me. So if I'm
okay.
on listening to it's usually like movie soundtracks or
Mm,
classical thing.
yeah.
Because I feel like it's really like it's interpretive and it can help me get into like certain like feel states and um yeah.
Yeah. This is unrelated. Well, this is related, but just a side thing. I used to play this like game where you could like drive a truck around Europe. And I would like do that and play like classical music in the background just to like, I don't even know what I was doing, but like I was like 16 and I was
Ah,
like, time to drive in Paris, I don't
I love that. Well,
know.
that's a very I
Um,
would do.
yeah. Do you have a couple more questions if that's
Hmm.
okay? Kind of behind the scenes stuff. Do you have any hopes of showing off your soccer skills? Because I know you're probably the only person on the cast that would want
Uh,
to do that and can because you play soccer.
yeah, I do. They won't let me.
No. I saw that
I
one
pass.
video of you dribbling and I was like, oh, that's a
Oh yeah,
player
I
if I've ever
noticed
seen one.
that. I also took some from you know how many times I went to that behind the scenes little phone and took things and I didn't post it. But some
Oh,
of it,
it's a
thank
phone.
God,
That's what it is. It's like,
it's a phone, yeah.
mhm,
But
a
some of it,
dedicated thing.
thank God, I was like, because I'd film something, I'm like, oh damn it, what? I can't take that back. So the Showtime Paramount, thank you for not posting it. Uh, there are there's one that I wish got posted because I thought it was cool.
Hmm.
And it's like an ego thing. I was like, damn, wish they posted that. Where they had some of them were doing like a promo for a Comic-Con and they had a little
Hmm.
soccer ball.
Oh
So there was
yes,
a soccer
yeah.
ball on set and it was in the village. And I don't know why I decided to do this. I'm usually very behaved on set, but I decided to kick it and I got it through the little hole in Lottie's hut. Um, But it was
I need to
like,
see that.
but the social media girl got it at the very end, so it's like a
Mm,
very short clip. But it
mhm.
was like one of those things where you do, you like look around, you're like, anyone see that? Anyone see that?
Yeah, that's so
But no,
sick.
I don't know. I feel like it's something I'm would be willing to do. I can do.
Hmm.
Do I have a fear of hitting a cam op with a ball? Absolutely.
They assume the
I
risk.
ask. I asked. I said, maybe there's a couple soccer balls kicking around. And
Hmm.
wilderness, did we anyone take a soccer ball? And the answer was, have you seen some of your cast members run?
Yeah.
Um, with a lot of so I don't know. I mean, there's so much story to tell, and do you guys need 30 seconds of me playing soccer? Probably not.
I want it.
Maybe
I want like a
another day.
pre-crash soccer game. Maybe if we do like a flashback, we can get you to do it. But I know
Yeah,
like everyone
there's
else on the
someone
cast
editing it to
is
the pilot.
I know everyone on the
Um,
cast is averse to sports.
well,
So
I mean, there's
besides
really, I
Sophie,
think
but
Courtney's really sporty.
oh, okay.
Sophie's a gymnast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's some really athletic people, but not everyone. And it's also, I think, I don't know. Someone needs to
Yeah.
tell me why. But yeah.
Yeah. I did see that you headcanon Melissa as a midfielder, and that's interesting because Shauna is also a midfielder. Have you thought about that and how they could be like substitutes on the team?
Someone said this to me in a comment once, but I don't remember saying that, but it makes sense. I just feel like you know what? Yes, it does make sense, and I will stand by that because I think midfielders are some of the unsung heroes on a soccer team.
Hmm.
An outside mid or an inside mid, you are running back and forth. You are
Hmm.
a defender when they need defending. You're an attacker when they need attacking. You know who stops defends the goals? The defenders. Who scores the goals? A lot of times it's the forwards. It's like, oh, we're up this many points because we have all these goals. It's the forwards that are getting congrats for that. So
Hmm.
Melissa, I was like, you know what? She's probably just a little midfielder running back and forth, and no one like is paying her any mind.
Hmm.
But I like to know that Shauna is also a midfielder. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Um, Before you were talking about like headcanons for Melissa, since there's not a lot of on screen or like I guess in
Mhm.
the script as well. Do you have any other things that you want to share? I don't know. Have you thought of a last name for her, or have you just accepted Hat as the?
Um, I love Hat. I don't think she needs a last name. I know people love to like throw that at me and call me like, you don't even have a last name. Get over it. She might never have one. Um, she's got a first name in this. I mean, here, I don't think it matters in the wilderness.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it mattered in the trial when Mari was on stand and they gave Mari, also
Yeah.
knowing she's probably going to pass away, uh, give her her last name.
Mhm.
I don't think a last name reveal is important in the wilderness because there's only one Melissa. Why would I need a last name? Um,
Yeah.
would I
Maybe
be
like when they get rescued, it's like here are the list of the
Yeah.
survivors, and then we get the last name.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's important. I love that fans harp on this because I think it's a really funny thing to just be like,
It
we
is.
need names. Because you've met me in the wilderness, I don't think you will get a name in the wilderness because it doesn't matter in the
Mhm.
context of what I'm doing.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
think
don't
like
need
it's
categorized.
yeah, I think it's sort of like a almost like a badge of honor of like completing the character almost. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, like Mia was talking about it and she was like, yeah, I don't think it really is that important, but I would love to graduate from Aquila Yellowjackets, like all that stuff. But you do in a way have a last name.
Yeah, it's hat.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, whatever works, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Um, yeah, any other headcanons?
Um, head cannons. Only that I found the hat in the wilderness. And I tell writers this all the time. I said, no, I found it. Because I'm not wearing it in season, well, I'm not there in season one, but Melissa's
Mhm.
not wearing it in season one. Melissa's the girl with like the striped shirt
Yeah,
that
the blonde. Yeah.
that's in the plane and the pilot, and then she runs across when she has blood on her, and then I think they changed the background
Hmm.
before, but more or less it's the same person. She never wears it. When I wear it, it transforms me into me, and then that's when I become present in the story. So
Yeah.
it's impossible for me to have had it. I
So who
also love
packed the
the
hat?
idea. What?
Who packed the hat? Like who?
I
Where
think
did
it's
she?
I think it's someone that died. In my mind,
Mm.
it's like, yes, I have a headcanon, but this is vile of me.
Go for it.
Okay. Okay, I was like, I must hate someone. Like, everyone doesn't like someone. I was like, what if
Uh,
I did like the girl like caught on fire? And it was her hat. Wait, can I say this? I don't even know who that. It's just in the pilot, the girl catches on fire.
yeah.
Um, and I was like, that's our only death, right? Pre plane
It was that
crash.
girl Rachel, right? The one that liked Oasis. Is that the
Yeah.
same
What if
girl?
she packed the hat and she died? And I was like, you know
Well,
what?
she doesn't need any more.
Thank God, not a loss there. And then I went through her suitcase. I'm like, you know what? This hat was kind of cool. So,
But then you carry it into adulthood, which is crazy, which makes the backstory even crazier.
yeah, it's almost like maybe there was a bit of crazy there before Shauna, or
Yeah.
maybe it's just me. I like to make things difficult for myself.
No, it's amazing.
I think it's a
This
lot
is so
fun.
funny.
So yeah, that's a very unhinged headcanon that I was gonna keep to myself, to be honest, but
Now it's out there.
now it's out there. Hope
Do you
your
have a
video doesn't get like flagged.
No, no, don't
Okay.
worry. We're good. You could say m many a thing on YouTube. Do you have a shooting experience that stands out to you?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Um,
Either favorite, surprisingly difficult to film, both.
um, yeah, I will say that like the scene in 10 where Sophie and I get in the fight was really
Mhm,
fun. Um, there's a part of me that wish you saw. I mean, this take where I speak was with a stunt double.
mhm,
Just because it was a close up and we had to film it like on a raised platform and I have the stick and the note was let go, like animalistic let go. And so I end up filming the whole choreography on this thing with this, and Sophie's kind of off in the distance doing her lines. And I just let go. And I was like screaming off the top of my lungs. I was like, "Ah." And then what you guys see is the line and the so that moment was the second half of that. But the first half was like that is like therapy. That not the healthiest thing to do as an actor, but just that like permission to be unhinged, which
mhm.
you don't always get, but you get on Yellowjackets.
Yeah,
And it was really cool. That was just I was like, oh, I feel really good now.
yeah. And it's
It's
cathartic for Melissa too, because after
yeah.
all that she's been through, she's like finally whacking Shauna and doing all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I think exactly. I think it was all that pent up, because I think at the beginning of the season, in my mind, it was a performance.
Mhm,
It very was a sense, and she's like, it's like, I mean, everyone's been, most people have been pretty down bad or had a crush, and there's a lot of how's this conversation gonna go? How do I stand? What do I do? And what comes out is the most awkward thing ever. And so that was kind of my like tether to her, having no information was how that was gonna, you know, be displayed. I was like, it has to be the most awkward thing ever because that's the most real thing ever.
mhm.
Is to make an absolute fool of yourself. And what's funny is that it works for her. She's like, I don't know how to stand. Hi,
Yeah, I love
hey,
that. The
hey, hey,
hey.
like it's not natural. And that's kind of funny because that was people's like introduction to me is like,
Yeah.
what's she doing? And then it evolves into this like complete release of like, I'm letting all that go. So yeah, it's so cathartic for Melissa. Cathartic for Jenna. She needed it.
Mhm.
Not from the filming experience, which is life. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, it's a direct parallel to the beginning. But I'm
No, you're
tangenting.
good. I was also
Um,
going to point out I love your brow acting, like the expressions
uh,
that you
my eyebrows are
it's
I'm
great. Because like
um
you can convey so much because I think one thing that stands out in particular is oh my God, episode 3 when she lets you sit on the log and there's like this bit of relief, but also like what have I gotten myself into, but also like there's so much going on right there and I it's all in the brows and I
Thank
love it.
you. I'm thank you. I'm like with like film acting, I get so self-conscious about it because cameras pick up everything.
Hmm.
And then when I watch myself back, I'm like, oh my God, my eyebrow did not need to be up there, but it was. And I think it's just brow
It's not
acting.
just me. Other people have commented on it too and they love it. And
Oh, wow. I'm
funny that you
honored.
bring up the film acting because I read that you have a background in theater and
Yeah.
you did a play with your, one of your friends put on that you were like a lesbian pop star. Like people have, found things and I read up on it. So what have you gotten from your theater background that you've found useful in doing this show?
Oh, I mean, everything. I think a lot of my theater background comes from just like a very traditional form of training in a black box theater. That is, I think if you just take away everything, and a lot of the training, I still train because I think it's, I mean, we're artists, like I think we should always be evolving and talking and, critiquing ourselves and moving forward and trying new things and whatever. But um, it's allowed me to stand on my own 2 feet as an actor on this show where the talent is through the roof. Um, there's also like TV moves so fast. It's like you get these really high powered scenes and it's okay, here's a rehearsal, okay, shooting done. And like there's I got to kind of be in the ensemble for 10 episodes before being kind of put to the test a little bit with those skills. I mean, one thing that like they told me was that, I mean, when you film a TV show, you're picking up everything. And when you don't see Melissa and Jen, their word takes, I mean, a good example of this would be eating Jackie. Like there was a 2 shot of me and Nia doing that whole thing. And I have a little like footage. I mean, we'll never post it. So,
Hmm.
but we got to kind of watch it back and be like, oh, so this was us eating Jackie and watching Melissa. I think that's like one of the first interactions between Melissa and Akila, which was really cool. So it doesn't make the final edit, but everything. So there's like a lot of footage
Hmm.
with us as actors that you guys don't get to see. So something that was told to me is that we've seen a lot of you. Um, and so we're going to give you more. And we're really excited to show you that. And um, I think being able to tap into that training and that presence of how I work as an actor is everything because these scenes are so, the stakes are so high and the weight of what you're doing is so huge and heavy and you need to be able to embody that and getting to watch other actors in this ensemble work, I felt really safe to do that. And really supported. And I knew I could do certain things like the arrow, like the night before, we had to reverse it. Originally, we were going to film it going in and then rain. And so we filmed it coming out first. And I was really nervous to do that scene. So I was like, I can't practice that. Like, what am I going to, like, I don't know how to practice it. I just have to go and do it. But where you do get to practice that is in those theater settings, surrounded by people you trust, with instructors you trust, and having permission to mess up. And so being able to take that into a professional setting on a film set, I already felt like I had that safety net around me. And then on top of that, I'm really comfortable with all these people and I knew I could, work it because I've seen everyone else work it and I've been that supporting person. So now it was my time and I felt really okay. And another part of that is just like being able to get out of those mental states because it's really dark what we do. Um and I remember being in season 2 and one of the first things we did was I did was eat Jackie and that was that was my second week. It was probably like my fourth or fifth day on the job.
Hmm.
Um, I was kind of excited, but I didn't realize how like visceral it would be. They did such a good job, and I know you guys have heard the whole thing, what it was made out of, but it was very real.
Hmm.
Everything I was seeing, everything that was going off in my brain was saying this was real. The only thing that wasn't real was someone telling me this is actually jackfruit. Like, there's no way for like certain receptors in your brain to like pick up that that wasn't real. And so you know, getting to work, train and, settings that are a bit more private or a bit less camera focused, giving me the tools to like, because there was a moment where I was like sitting in the green room, I was like, this is my dream, but can I do this?
Hmm.
This is crazy. This is crazy. And I was like, no, I can do this and I'm gonna do this. And so it's like you never know when you're gonna get that shot to be like you just want a part, right? And when you're starting, you're like, I just want someone to pick me. Um, And my advice to other actors and creatives would be like, just keep working because when you get chosen or when you finally get that part, it's not going to fix everything, but you also need to be able to stand on your feet. And because of everything I was doing in a theater setting, but also in my life, when I thought I was, I went and did a degree and I was like, well, it's not really what I want to do, but I like to read, so I'll do this. And that all has helped me land on my feet and be the actor I am today. And it's now a hindsight thing of like, thank God I got to do all that because it makes me really cool as a person to get to do all those things. Um and and I know I'm kind of expanding on what your question is, but I think I wish I have heard this and and I know for some people I came out of nowhere and I kind of did. And what happened was I was kind of like, auditioning, and someone went, yeah, you pushed me off the cliff, and I was able to stand on my 2 feet. And that you don't always get that. And so everything that I had done in my life up until that moment caught me. And so never take away an experience from yourself because that's when you do a lot of growth. And it's because I failed so many times or I didn't get my way or because I had to get a shift covered to do my first day of season 2. And I told her I would get her back and I never did. It's and I was a server and I loved the people I work with, but I was miserable.
Mhm.
And living in that misery and being like, okay, how am I gonna get an A to B? How am I gonna and I'm gonna finish my degree and I'm gonna pay off my student loan and oh my God, okay. These are life. I got to experience life and don't penalize yourself for experiencing life. And because and I'm not saying go and take your trauma and make it art because you gotta be safe. Safety is always first. But I think it's um I just everything I've done has made this work for me, is what I'm trying to say. So I hope if anyone listens to it like that's a bunch of bullshit, then great. If someone can take anything from that, please do. Because I would love to tell myself 4 years ago that. So, but
That's
yeah, no, I plays theater. Uh, I did a play. Yeah, I did a play. See, this is my brain. I did a play last January. My friend Alicia wrote it.
mhm.
I played the lesbian pop star. She's awesome. She wasn't actually in the play. She was spoken about a lot of times. So my friend was workshopping this play for a class and was gonna put it up. And like 2 weeks before they put it up, she's like writing it. Like plays they workshop and they put them up. They go back. They like it goes. There's a lot of back and forth. I'm telling you this because I think she needs to finish the play. And if you guys can go rally behind her, she will finish it. With her permission.
Public pressure.
Yeah, no, every writer needs a little bit of pep in their step to get things
Mhm.
done. It was like 2 weeks before they were putting it up, and she's like, "Can you come in and do a scene? Because I think I need this character in a scene." And I was like, "Okay." So that kind of got me. I kept getting stage fright dreams up into that, so that kind of cured me from it. So I was really glad I did that, and it made me realize how much I would love to go back to theater one day. So yeah,
Yeah,
still a journey.
I'm sure people would love to see it. Um, Getting back to what you were saying about, landing on your own 2 feet, you've definitely done that, and you're standing tall, so you should definitely give yourself a pat on the back for that because
Thank you.
just so big, and congratulations, and you should be so proud.
Thank you.
I just wanted to address the sentimental thing you just said, before moving on.
Yeah.
Um, you are a big reader. You did say that you have your degree. Are there any your favorite books recently? Favorite books of all time?
Um, yeah. Um, I haven't been doing okay, I restarted my Animal Crossing village. So I am busy.
Uh-huh.
I'm working every day. I've got to get those 30 nuggets. Um, I'm
Uh-huh.
working. If you know, you know, it's hard work.
Yeah.
Um, but reading. So I haven't been doing a lot of reading. But I have books everywhere. That's why I'm looking around. I'm like, what am
Hmm.
I reading? I ooh, I'm currently reading this book. I haven't picked it up in a while, but Abigail by Magda Sasbo. It's about a boarding school at the end of World War II, and where are they? It's been a while. This is embarrassing. Hungary. They're in Hungary. They're the
Mm.
general who's basically probably going to die, sends his
Mm.
daughter to a very sequestered boarding school to protect her. And when she gets there, all the girls love to worship this one statue named Abigail, and it's very
A little
um
familiar.
I know it's kind of I started reading it and I was like, I think I was telling Liv, I was like, that reminds me of what we're doing.
Is this
Which
play
is
about
cool. So
us? Like,
yeah, literally. So that
you read Sunrise on the Reaping, right?
I did. I just finished it though. I made it up to the games and then it's so different when you read it as an adult. Um,
You know, there's people that fan cast you as Astrid, I think.
that's so sweet. I would love to be in any book adaptation.
Yeah.
Honored to be fan casted.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, um,
I was gonna ask if there was a dream role, like book adaptation that you
oh,
have thought about.
I want to be a lead in a fantasy series, like literally, and well, m most, like, look, not every book series, but
Mhm.
most book series. I love fantasy. I love like anything like that. I think there's a really cool fantasy series that I don't see see some people talking about. What's it called? I think the first book is Fury Born, and it's like I think it's young adult, but it's
Mhm.
set in like two different timelines. Like, you know what? Let's let's get it popular. I honestly think in like the original like book talk days, like if you were there before it went off the charts, like at the very like beginning of COVID, like it
Uh-huh.
was kind of
I'm
talked
looking it
about.
up right now. Oh, I've never seen
There's
this book
three
before.
books. Um, and I think the lore was woven in so well because sometimes things come at you and you're like, oh, it can be a lot, but this one was so, and it destroyed me, literally destroyed me at the end. Kept me up all all night. I don't even have the copies of the book because I just keep giving them out to my friends. And they haven't read them. So
Mhm.
if someone
Oh,
read it, get back to me. I have no one to talk about this with. So that's a favorite trilogy of mine. Claire Legrand is the author. Um, I would love to see that adapted. But it's a lot.
mhm.
Uh, what other books? So you just opened up Pandora's box. Um,
And we can play in it.
yeah, let's play it. Books I love. Uh, I don't know. I just love books. Yeah, I was gonna say back to the Hunger Games. It's really hard every time a kid dies. So I like sped read it the first day, got to the Hunger Games, the first whack of them win, and I was like, oh, and then every chapter it's like someone dies. And
Yeah.
it's like a child, so it's I got the first book given to me when I was like 10 years old and it's the first time you're kind of like interacting with this like empathy and like, oh, slaughter and is it government control and stuff. And you're still kind of grasping it, so it's easier to move through as a kid. But then when you get like the weight of it has been really hard to get through, but it's beautifully done. I think it's one of my favorite of the series. Um,
I just read the original trilogy in January. Like I hadn't read the books before.
oh
And I
wow.
got into it and it definitely I get it's a different experience reading it as an adult and you're like, wow, like you see all these parallels and everything and
Yeah, I have
Sudan's
not
so
gone
good.
back and reread them since I was a kid.
You should.
Um,
It's definitely I think you'll have like a different
Yeah, I
perspective.
used to read books and my mom would read them along with me. So I remember getting to Mockingjay and having so many questions about why certain things were happening because
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to comprehend. But I read them when I was very young. But yeah, I usually post about books when I read them. That's like the one thing I'll post about, just because I think it's fun to share.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah. Anyone has any book recommendations? You can always pop me a comment. I think that's probably what I'd see. But
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Two more questions we got, I guess. Yeah, sure. Hopes for Melissa in season 4? What are you excited to explore?
Um, I would like to see her deal with all the emotions she's brewed up in season 3. And I think that's a really broad thing, but I think going from something that was very performative to something that was completely unraveled before her eyes has left her with a really fun playing field. I think that's I don't know, I just feel like ready because in season three, like I didn't really have much to go off of and it wasn't really important for Melissa's story anyways in season three to have any backstory or whatever. It wasn't really going to inform her choices either. And it was that, like I said, that comparison to Shauna having a lot of backstory with Melissa having virtually none. But now she's kind of left with this kind of, I don't know, mess that she has a hand in. And I'd love to see her internalize some of her own actions. Um, I would love to see her interact with other people. I'm always curious to see how different people might interact. I definitely think there needs to be stuff going on with Shauna. I don't think that's over yet. Um, I think where we're at now, I think Sophie and I were like, there's gonna be more? There's gotta be like this is kind of exciting. If we get to rescue stuff, I think that's really interesting. I think it's really interesting that Shauna goes and marries Jeff.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm like, well, how would that make me feel? That's
And the question is, are you like dead before or after that? It's like when does that happen in the timeline?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I the only thing I asked about was like the wife thing. I was like, that's gotta happen way later. That's got like I was like, I'm not
Yeah.
standing
Well,
outside of it.
she was stalking her for years.
Yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, some time passes because they're like your mind's not even there when you get
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm just making stuff up. Um, but I think um I think there's an opportunity for Melissa to decide who she wants to be in this life. And I think when you get to Hillary's version of it, she's kind of made these choices. Because and you only get two episodes with Hillary, so it's kind of interesting to see like where that might go too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we still have Melissa in a very vulnerable state with me. I'd be curious to see her kind of weigh her options and like, am I gonna teeter more into the darkness or am I gonna get myself out of this and, you know, because I think she's right now she's at a balancing point where she could go either way.
Yeah.
So I would love to see her. Yeah, I more stuff with Jen would be fun. I definitely want to see her interact with Van. I think a lot of that could be fun. Um, yeah, I think with her, I mean, I think I'm also excited to see what happens with other characters too. I think where we leave with Thaisa in season three, fascinating. Like
Hmm.
I want more. I think Tawny and Jasmine are so brilliant and amazing, and that character, Thais is one of my favorite characters. Um,
Me too.
the Thaisa and Shauna dynamic was like is my favorite thing of the show.
I miss
Any
them.
timeline when those two are in a scene, it's like magnetic.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm so compelled to now see them kind of at ends with each other, and I'm curious to see how that's gonna display itself in the wilderness now that we kind of have politics written into it. So
Hmm.
I mean, there's so many different stories that could be told in season four. I like literally know nothing more than you guys. I'm
Hmm.
what you guys know, I know, and what I know, you guys know. So, I'm very excited and hopeful that we'll get to tell these stories and
Fingers
yeah.
crossed.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, fingers crossed for season four. One last question. What are you most proud of this season?
Oh, such a sweet question. What am I most proud of? Um, I'm proud of, huh. I think I think I'm proud of, mm, it was challenging. Like it wasn't easy to do this character. Um, Oftentimes when a character at this magnitude comes forward in an audition, you're already given a lot of information and the breakdown um and in the story. So to kind of build this through an already established show where the breakdown was literally half a sentence. It was just like a girl in the wilderness. I'm proud to have built her exactly the way she is. And I'm proud because I think if I saw this character in a breakdown, that came through my inbox for an audition, I would have been like, oh, this is amazing. I want this so bad. And so I'm proud of myself for building that for myself. Because it came from, it was very challenging. I constantly was like, why, what, where, who's, what's going on? And it was up to me virtually to figure that out and to do it and to tell the story I wanted to tell. And um, I'm very proud of that. So yeah.
Huh. You should be. And I love how a lot of the actors on this show kind of put their own spin on the characters and kind of make it their own. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's evident how you guys speak about the show that, you really do care. And
Mhm.
we see it on the screen and everyone loves it. So, like I said, congratulations, and you should be so proud of
Oh,
everything
thank
this
you.
season. Thank you for hanging out with me for
Oh my God, of course. Also,
quite a
you should
bit.
be proud. Look what you've done. Like this is amazing. Like
I I'm just a
like
fan.
you're just a fan, but you're doing something and it's fantastic. And I'm like, this was a really good conversation. And yeah, like I again, like these the art we put out into the world cultivates these communities and it's so beautiful. And um yeah, you guys should be proud of yourself too. And yeah, it's amazing.
Thanks, Jenna. Thank you. I always say that it's so easy to talk about the show because you guys put so much work into it. So it makes it easy to love.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
So fingers crossed for season 4. I'm excited to see what else you're up to. We'll keep updated on the Instagram, see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome.